Peace to everyone. Supreme Court denied the Citizenship Board's request for rehearing. So now that's it. The freedmen are citizens. The only path moving forward that might remove that possibility is, as I understand it, the Citizenship Board or the nation appealing to the Department of Interior, saying, hey, these don't have, we want you guys to decide it for us. But in doing so, that we waive our sovereignty, at least on that issue. And that's problematic regardless of where you stand on the freedmen issue. So if you're for the freedmen, then obviously you don't want that happening, because then you can still get removed, possibly permanently. But the 1979 Constitution might stand. Kind of. If the federal government says it's okay. On the flip side, sorry, I'm still driving here. Sweaty day at work. So, if you're not for the freedmen being in the tribe, then you are still, you're going to lose sovereignty on this issue. So, if you're in my shoes, it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If I just say, okay, screw it, let it ride, I don't want to lose sovereignty, well, I mean, we're going to have so many freedmen citizens in the tribe that it's going to be made up of like almost half non-Indians. And that's a different issue right there too. Not different, it's the same issue, but I'll explain. Basically, what's going to happen is now they're trying to push to redefine what the word Indian means. And unfortunately, Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma's chief, Chuck Hoskins Jr., is very much in support of redefining what it means to be an Indian. In other words, the tribe makes its own citizens, and those citizens automatically become Indians. Now you can say, oh, that's cool. That's all about, independence of a tribe. Okay. I get what you're saying. But on the flip side, I'm going to create a scenario for you guys, because I love doing that. Let me park my van first so that I can do this. Give me a second. Don't want to bump into anybody. Okay. Leave the air conditioning on. So, it's fine that we have the ability to say who our citizens are, as long as we're protecting our own citizenship, our own by-blood citizenship, okay? The people whose ancestors actually made up the original Muskogee Nation, the original Creek Confederacy, as it was called, as the white men refer to it as. So that sounds great if we can protect that, but what happens when we're overrun by non-Indians? Sure, we're a nation, still, on paper, like a corporation, but are we actually made up of Indians? Or is it just simply the corporation now has citizens, it now has not employees, it has people, has human resources that are all there, but they don't have any real connection to the original group that created this corporation, okay? Do you guys see the problem with that? Because I do. Okay, let's just say Rome, now the Roman Empire doesn't exist anymore. There's still a city in Italy called Rome. It used to be the capital of the Roman Empire, okay? Let's just say, okay, we're going to bring a bunch of Polish people from Poland, and we're going to replace all of the Italians that are in Rome with these Polish people. You have so many Polish people that they outnumber the Italians after a while, so And this is a fictitious scenario, but it's kind of relevant too, though, because this kind of happened to the Roman Empire in some ways. The Roman Empire was constructed of different people from different nations that the empire conquered. They recruited people to become soldiers in the army, and that just helped the expansion of the Roman culture. But not everyone in the empire was a citizen. Not all soldiers were citizens. Okay, and in fact, at one point, if you wanted to become a gladiator, if I'm not mistaken, that was possibly grounds for losing your citizenship. There's a lot of glory to being a gladiator, but it was looked down upon if you're part of the aristocracy. So you had Roman blood. Then you had other Italian city-states, like the Sabines, as in the rape of the Sabine women. Look that up. Romans didn't have enough women, so they raped or carried away, because that's what the word meant in English originally. They carried away these women and made them their wives. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I think Cicero was a Sabine. But anyways, all these Italian city-states became actual. They became part of the empire. They became part of the Republic. They became part of the Roman Republic. And the Republic that's the original nation, essentially. It was a city-state that became a republic. They gathered more people. They obviously intermixed. Then it became an empire, and obviously had a lot more people showing up in the city. You had Italians that were actually spreading to other parts and setting up their own shop in places like Gaul and, like all over the place, Spain. But Rome still had actual Romans in it. And the citizenship, you could become a citizen of Rome, but if you want to become a patrician, well, you had to be born into that. You couldn't. The plebeians were the commoners. The commoners is like everyone who's a citizen who's not a descendant of the original aristocracy, right? I know we're getting into some old-timey thinking here. When you have royalty, kind of, but not really, because there were no kings in Rome at that point. Kings became outlawed. The concept became abhorrent for literally hundreds of years leading up to that point. So you still have people that can trace their lineage back to the founding of Rome, like the Julian house. The ancestors of Julius Caesar, the direct ancestors of Caesar Augustus through his father. A bunch of these people were able to trace back to patricians, or they were patricians because they can trace back to, in a male lineage, no less, back to these old houses. But the thing is, eventually, Rome got overrun by a bunch of by the Visigoths. Rome fell because the Visigoths took over. They conquered, they took over the city of Rome. They basically destroyed the empire, the Western Empire. What happened to the ethnic Romans? You can still say they kind of existed for a while, but they became just part of whatever Italy became at that point under Visigoth control. I assume that there's blood descendants of these people still in the city of Rome today, but that might be assuming a lot. Okay? What does it mean to be Roman if there's no actual Romans in Rome? Or you have to redefine the term. But again, Rome can say, oh yes, Rome was founded by Romulus and Remus. Who are Romulus's descendants? The Visigoths? The Ostrogoths? The Gauls? The Britons? The Celtiberians? Are these actual Romans, or are they indigenous to their own nations? Which they eventually kind of became again, by the way. Well, except when they got conquered. Like Gaul became Francia, or Francia. It became France, because the Franks came in and took over. You had the Visigoths that were in Spain. The original Celtiberians kind of got replaced by them. And by the time the Moors had invaded around 800 AD, you had the Spaniards calling themselves Goths still for like 400 years roughly after they had conquered the area. It wasn't called, Gothia. It was still Spain or Hispania. Okay, so but who are the real Romans? Who are the real descendants of those people? It sounds great to look at the empire as a construct and a system. But what about the people? Okay. Right now, we have a bunch of freedmen who are trying to push this idea, and Chuck Hoskins Jr. is along with it, to redefine Indian, getting away from the 1840s standard of you having to have Indian blood to be an Indian, because that's racist, okay? Everything's racist. And that's the only way to, it's like you have to get rid of this definition, this legal definition, in order to make a bunch of non-Indians into Indians. But then it's like, okay, well, what does it mean to be an Indian? What happens 100 years from now when people are saying, oh yeah, well, our nation was on the Trail of Tears. It's like, okay, BFD, were your ancestors even on the Trail of Tears? Because what happens when we start adopting a bunch of, Stetki, a bunch of white people, a bunch of Asians, a bunch of non-Indians to become citizens of the modern version of Creek Nation? After a while, it's like, okay, well, there's no clans anymore. The tribal towns are already relegated at this point to the churches and the ceremonial grounds. They don't have the same political power they used to have. There's no secular authority even at Ojibwa. Okay, even Hickory Ground has no actual legal authority at this point. It is nothing more legally than a ceremonial grounds that used to be a tribal town, and one of the highest important ones at its heyday. Doesn't matter. It's now the equivalent of a church, but not a Christian church, a traditionalist Muskogee church. That is what it is. That is all that it is right now. There's no legal authority that Ojibwa has today. None. What it has is influence. What it has is the free Hickory Ground movement. Okay? That's what it has. And unfortunately, their Miko, George Thompson, has paved the way so that we can have essentially half a tribe be made up of non-Indians. So, thank you, Muskogee Creek Nation National Council. Obviously, you care about the Muskogee Nation so much that you put one interpretation of tradition over the actual well-being of the entire tribe, in my opinion. Because we're not going to be Indians anymore. Or rather, we're all going to be Indians. Yay! Everyone gets to be an Indian. Doesn't matter if you have no Indian blood. Doesn't matter if your ancestors are the ones that killed us. Okay? It's okay. We're going to adopt you in. Doesn't matter that your ancestors were never in this country, that you just came on over today from Ukraine or wherever else. It's okay. We're going to make you an Indian. Because that's the traditional way to do things. What? Okay. We'll be nothing more than a legal corporation made up of non-Indians after a while. Or we real Indians will be so few and far between in numbers that it's not going to matter that we even exist. We're pretty much going to not hardly exist anymore. But at least on paper and in political authority, Muskogee Creek Nation of Oklahoma will still exist. Maybe in 100 years' time. Even though most of the people won't even have a drop of our blood at that point. But hey, we're doing the right thing right now. We are honoring this noble treaty of 1866. And we're honoring the previous Constitution more than the current one, which now doesn't have the same authority that it did. And maybe no authority at all at this point. But they're going to pretend that it does. And that we did the right thing as a tribe, as a noble whatever thing. And you got people saying, well, it's not like I'm getting a check. I'm not getting anything from the tribe. Well, have you gone to the hospital? Oh, the hospital there, it's not that great. It's like, well, it was great enough when I went there. I had no health care. The tribe actually covered all my medical expenses. Except for one visit, which I may not have got a referral to, or I may or may not have asked them for one at that point, but every single other visit since I got checked in with them got covered when I lived out there. Okay, like they took care of me. And they would have taken care of these full-bloods that were complaining about no help for a full-blood like me if they actually did the whole process and brought in all the paperwork. But nope, they're too, lazy to do that. So not all full-bloods, by the way. Let me just preface that. But the ones that were complaining about it, no, there's no help for a full-blood like me. Well, do the legwork. You'll get the help, I promise. I don't know what it's like nowadays because this was a long time ago. It was over a decade ago when I was getting help and living back there. So I don't know, man. There are resources. None of this is free, but people act like, well, the government could just give us more money. Oh, well, the tribe should just give us more money so I can pay my bills. They should pay all my bills. We should sell the tribal buses and give that money to the people who will go gamble it and drink it away. Got it. So you have an ignorant mindset with some people. It's like, well, nothing's given to me for free. Well, nothing's free in this world, but other people, whether it's the casinos or the American people paying us what is essentially treaty money, that's covering our tribal hospitals. Okay, and everything else that the tribe does for that matter. So it's coming from somewhere. And if you do your part, you'll get what you need, most likely. But now all the housing and everything else that, you got people who need the housing, you got elderly people that need all this help and are having a hard enough time getting the help they need. Now they've got to share all of those resources with the freedmen that are now going to become citizens between now and whenever. Unless the tribe decides to give up sovereignty on this issue to the Department of the Interior. So again, guys, there's really no easy answer. Like, this is one of those you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't situations. Unless the tribe does absolutely nothing moving forward, in which case, if you're one of the freedmen, then it simply works out for you. And that's it. So, this should have been voted on. This absolutely should have been voted on. And it wasn't. And I'll forever hold that against Migo George Thompson and the rest of the Muskogee Creek Nation Supreme Court. I will forever hold it against them for this. Now, I still need to read you guys the paperwork that I've been promising, and now it's almost irrelevant whether I do or not, because it's already, set. It's set in stone at this point, unless we waive sovereignty. I'll still do it one of these days. Life has been busy, and I've been paying close attention to this, but not able to get all of the goods that I've been promising, but I will get the goods. It'll take time. I need to have some free time. Lots been going on. So, anyway, I just kind of want to let you guys know what's going on, because this is the brand new, up-to-the-date information. Supreme Court has said no to the request, and once they say no, they don't have to, you can't file again at this point. The way the rules are set up, unless those rules can be changed in the future, and if those rules can be changed in the future, where they could do a rehearing years from now, when these people are no longer in the Supreme Court, and maybe the procedures have changed, then maybe they can reappeal this, and maybe something can change. At that point, you're going to have half the tribe made up of non-Indians who are then going to vote against this issue. And then when we say, hey, let's put it to a vote, it's going to be like, well, obviously it's not going to go in our favor, because you're going to have half the tribe that's already all going to vote for sure against bringing it back to by blood status. And then you're going to have a certain percentage, it's hard to say how much, of the by-blood citizens who are going to say, no, we need to honor 1866 because that's, our ancestors made this noble promise to God and to the freedmen and whatever, okay? And then you're going to have maybe a quarter, maybe a little more than a quarter of the tribe. We're going to say, we kind of want our tribe back, but it's too late now. So if something's going to happen in that regard, it's going to have to unfortunately go through the DOI, which none of us exactly really want to happen. So it's kind of just... But if we don't, then the scenario I described is basically going to be the case. Our nation went through the Trail of Tears, and it wasn't your ancestors. It wasn't even... it's like what happens when even the freedmen get replaced, when we and the freedmen all get replaced with a bunch of other non-Indians who live within the borders of the Creek Nation and maybe kiss some ass to the tribe and get citizenship. I don't know. I mean, what happens when China comes in and we say, oh, we'll offer you guys MCN citizenship, just don't, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. If you're a freedman, then this looks very awesome for you, and I would congratulate you, but I'm not really happy because I'm a by-blood citizen who wants the by-blood status to remain intact. I want the legal definition for being an Indian to be someone who has actual Indian blood, okay? But now it's like, well, anybody can be. I'm just as Indian as you are. I knew this guy years ago whose great-grandfather was born in Japan and I guess somehow had Japanese citizenship, but there's no Japanese blood, but he still says, oh, but I'm part Japanese. It's like, no, you're not. You're a Jew. You don't have any Japanese blood. Oh, but I'm part Japanese. No, you're not. You have no Asian blood. Well, I can become legally Asian. Yeah, go ask the Chinese about that. Do they want to have a bunch of guaylos, a bunch of white devils becoming citizens of their nation? Probably not. Do you really think they want blacks becoming citizens? They definitely don't. They're pretty racist, actually. Not everyone, but more so than here in some respects. When it comes to movie posters and things like that, they either remove the black actors or they make them look much smaller than the American posters. Go look up Star Wars. I think it's episode 7. What they did to, what's that guy? The Black Stormtrooper turned Jedi. Take a look at that. See how the Chinese feel about blacks. And obviously they have the term guaylo, meaning white devil. So do you think they want foreigners to become Chinese? Do you think they want other Asians becoming Chinese citizens? Do you think they want Japanese to come over and say, hey, I want to be Chinese now? I don't know about that. I mean, individual Chinese might feel that way, but I mean, as a nation, I don't know if they want that. And I don't blame them. China should belong to the Chinese people. But I digress. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I'm sure I'll get some haters. Yeah, I've been dealing with a few hateful comments from people. Shame, shame, shame. And other stuff like that. It's like, I'm not ashamed of my opinion. I'm not. I have no reason to be ashamed of it. So, it's the way it is, man. I'm not going to apologize. I shouldn't have to. And if you disagree with me, you shouldn't have to apologize either. But we're on opposite ends of this issue, but, I'm not going to say you can't have your opinion. You should be ashamed of yourself. How dare you feel differently than I do, okay? Just don't create ad hominem attacks against me saying, well, you want to bring slavery back, don't you, James? No, Teresa Golden, I don't. So, anyway. Yeah. Let me know what y'all think. And I'll catch y'all later. Mado and Adam Chichatlis.